this for 2 periods, then you come M in both periods. Intertemporal choice again. Right. Intertemporal choice. Now, we are given this thing. Now, first, can you give me what's his income in year 1? What's income in year 1? Huh? His income in year 1 is how much?
M.
M. Then year 2?
M2.
M. Okay, I'll tell you this because look at the consumption function. You want to maximize utility subject to what? This thing, right? Why this thing? Shouldn't here be this? This? How much you can spend in year 2 is equal to his income here, and how much he saved in year 1, right? Why this is not M2? Huh? Because we are told that his income in both periods is how much? M. M. Okay, so his budget line becomes this. Okay? My right is not this. My right is M2, M1. But my left now becomes M. Because of this statement. Simple. Now, suppose this person can borrow and then an interest rate R. Derive the amount of money spent in both periods. It means you ask to solve for what? Solve for C1 and C2, how to solve? How? And then later on find out whether this guy is a borrower or what. Derive for me C1 and C2. Find out whether this guy is a borrower or a saver. How? Okay. This one. The top there, man. How to solve? To maximize his DT. Subject to what? Okay, so first thing, let me solve this number. No single equation will be the same. Every question expected to set up the equation. I show you here in option, every question you set up the equation. Now, if you get your first setup correct, then everything will be very smooth. But if you get your first setup wrong, then you can be stuck for 2 hours because you're working on the wrong solution and you cannot get a solution. Because you work on the wrong thing, of course you cannot find a solution. You understand? So don't rush into doing any question. First read the thing a few times until you very sure already, then you write the equation. Okay. So how to find C1 and C2? I think the fastest way is still to very roughly look at the answer. Quite roughly. You look at the answer, then the answer. The other very fast. I haven't said the word very nice. Okay, let's see. Now, since the utility function was given as this, you derive utility, which is a function of C1 and C2, right? So it's this. Now, the only tricky part about this question, I think, is here. Because it literally means the income is N. Right, because normally we see this person earn income N. I will just thought that M stands for income. But she really means it this time. Right, the income that's really N. This M1 is equal to M, M2 equal to N. Okay? So I think this part a lot of people fear to find the answer because of this. Right, income M. Who don't know income is N? But she actually means M1 and M2 equal N. So this one, a lot of people will thought of this, but don't mind. It's too fast. So every year still got 85% pass. I don't know how. How I also don't know how, why also I don't know why. Because I find this cost and far. Maybe I'm stupid, but I think maybe you're copy. How you can pass 85%, right? So that's always something that I wonder a lot all the time. Until now I still don't know why. Okay, so anyway, so your C2 therefore will be actually this, right? That means we have to rewrite this as what? M, N. To find the optimal C1 and C2 is very simple. We have to maximize this, subject to therefore this budget constraint now. Because so we want to maximize this, subject to what? The budget constraint. And so to maximize utility, subject to this constraint. Okay. Now that you get your math correct, that's very simple. Why? Because you cannot make mistakes from here on. Alright. So in mathematics, to maximize this, subject to the budget constraint, subject to C2 equal what? This. Okay? Okay. Now first, this is the constraint. Therefore, in mathematics, constraint in English stands for what? What's the English word for constraint? Must obey. Okay, so you must obey. So given the fact that the table will tell you you must obey, then you have to be obedient. You have to make sure that this is equal to this. Understand? So very simple. So you just be obedient. Make sure that C2 is this. Finish. Okay, put it inside here. So this is your C2. Well, so that's all. Now, if you put your this C2 here, therefore the utility is just now a function of what? C1. Clear? No more C2. Just a function of C1. Alright. Now, if you want to maximize utility, if you are deciding on how much C1 to consume, to maximize this part, very simple, then you just d over dc1. Finish. Okay? So d over dc1. And so use product rule because there's a C1 here and a C1 here, right? So common factor, like hold the first term constant, differentiate this with respect to C1, you get this. the C1 become -1. That's why you get minus this. Next, hold the second term constant. This one constant. Differentiate this term, which is 2C1. Okay, very simple. So maximize utility set first condition, first order condition to 0. Right, set your first order condition to 0. That's it. So we can now solve for the optimal C1. Okay? How to solve? Okay, so you have a C1 here, you have a C1 here. So what we do, one more C1 here. How to solve for C1? Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. There's no mathematics, you know what I mean? I bring left, I bring right, I bring left, I bring right, bring left, bring right, I can't get it. Unless you want to do that, okay. This one bring here, that one bring here, this one bring here, no point, right? So you must well just fast forward. You will be able to see yourself, because I already solved for you, right? Unless you see and you don't understand, then you ask me. Right? Because last year when I tell you, okay, this one bring left, this one bring right, bring left, bring right. Some people get very annoyed, right? Because they say, oh, who doesn't know this? Right, need you to kind of tell me bring left, right? Okay, so, no, really there's no math. If you read and you don't understand, then you ask. Understand? I just bring left. And for example, you see here, how do I get rid of this C1? How do I get rid of this C1? Divide 4 by 1. Divide 4 by C1, run. This C1 just disappears. This C1 just becomes C1. That's where run. And after that, no more already. Open the bracket, left, right, left, right. So this is the C1 that will give this guy the highest utility. Effectively, that means this is the mathematical exposition of where they found the tangent point. Understand? Right, the tangent point. Now once you found C1,